And welcome back to another episode of the Hotdog Stand podcast. We are in episode 13. Have a very special guest for y'all today. I am one of your hosts, Chris Wally, out of Fernandina Beach, Florida.
I am Neil Quick out of Fenton, Missouri.
And I'm Kyle Pendergraft out of New Albany, Indiana. I'm sorry, I reside now in Clarksville, Indiana. I just moved.
And I am Brian Rick, one of your hosts out of O'Fallon, Missouri. And I'm joined by Kyle Steffens. Also from O'Fallon, or you're St. Charles, aren't you?
St. Charles.
St. Charles, Missouri. So, good to see you, Kyle.
Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, man.
One of my fellow sponsors here.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. So, Kyle, let's just run down some stats, man. You got over 300 feature wins under your belt. 2022 was a fantastic year. 4 UMP wins, all big money races. I'm gonna back up. You're the youngest driver in history to ever win the DeCoin Mile at the fairgrounds, but you also won it again in 2022. So congrats on that. Top 5 Silver Crown, bunch of UMP modified wins. Just an all around great race car driver that's very versatile. So I'm gonna take it back. I want to hear how you started, man. How'd you get into racing? I know you started about 5 1/4 midgets with your pops, and just take us back to that.
Yeah, so kind of all started out with the quarter midgets. Went from there to go-karts. I ran flat cart, oval, road race, 2-cycle, 4-cycle, and then we kind of went from there and went to Legends cars. We did the Young Lions program. Ran semi-pro, won a couple of races in that. Raced at Mount Lawn, Indiana, the Speedrome, all over Indiana, Missouri. Then went to that's better. Then we went to B-Mods. Won a bunch of races when I was pretty young. A-Mod stuff. Then we did late models, local racing, World of Outlaws. And then I kind of went to Silver Crown stuff. My first Silver Crown race was actually at IRP. Kind of crazy. It was Casey Kane and a bunch of guys were there. I was only like 16. I actually had to be emancipated to race at that time. Like,
Was that asphalt?
yeah, as IRP. And like back then, it wasn't like you could just come up. Like I had to be emancipated to have all my rights signed over and everything in order to race USAC. Like it was a totally different time.
And then, from your parents,
yeah, yeah, they were dedicated, man.
right? Right.
Yeah. And then we went kind of back and forth from there. Went to college and then came back and actually had a deal with a guy that helps Leonard Wood out. And I ran some late model stocks for him in Virginia and North Carolina. And then came back and ran some CRA ASA stuff, local stuff. Drove some Rayburns for CJ or late models for CJ Rayburn. I drove several Chili Bowls for Steve Lewis. RW, Steve Wyrich. I've done a lot of stuff, man.
Man, you have drove. I almost think of you like Tony Stewart. You know, I mean, it's the guy has drove. I know. I mean, you know what I'm saying, though, as far as the different number of cars that you've driven and really been successful in all of them. So I look up to you for that. I think you're an amazing race car driver. And
Thank you.
Who's got the questions?
Yeah, I was a huge Kyle Steffens fan when you did the small gesture and joining our IROC league, knowing the real life racing stuff that you did, and then just having that be a part of our deal, and that's what kind of joined a few of us together with you from the outside world. like I know Brian and Neil, they're close to you there, right? And have relationships there. But getting to know you over the last couple years has been awesome. Following you and what you've been able to do. Looking at everything that you've done, when was the moment that you knew, hey, I'm pretty good at this? Like, I think I can pursue this and be good.
Uh, I don't know if I've ever came to a point and thought it's kind of weird because I still feel like I could be a lot better. Like every time I race, I'm like, man, I could get better. But like the last 2 years have truly been kind of an eye opener for me. When I finished top 5 at Springfield in 2021 in the Silver Crown cars, and like I'm up there battling with Cody Swanson and Justin Grant, Shane Cockrum, Logan Seavey, Jerry Coons Jr. And I'm up there trading positions with these guys, running an inch off each other's tires at 160 miles an hour. I'm like, you know what, dude? I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. And kind of have like a quick humbling background was I kind of quit racing after I went to college. I went to University of Missouri. I was going to pursue a degree in advertising communication. I went there for 3 years, and I came back and finished at my local Lindenwood school. And that's when I picked up the ride with the guy in North Carolina. And I came home, and I had nothing. Like, all my dirt stuff was sold and gone. My dad and I, like, we were still on good terms, but he's like, we're done racing. Like, that's it. So I saved some money. I bought a modified from a guy named Daryl Mosier. A friend of mine, Corey Brown, gave me a motor. We went to Mod Mania, and I ran like third. My dad's like, dude, it's like you beat Kenny Wallace and some of these guys with a car with like borrowed parts on it. And all of a sudden, right there, it all built back up. So now we're kind of where we are, where we've got two of the best dirt car modifieds. I've got an asphalt Silver Crown car we just purchased, dirt Silver Crown car. I got outlaw carts. My boys have carts. Uh, it's just become a lifestyle again. Like I just got burnt out for a while, and now I'm just like I live it. I live for racing. My everyday, my job, racing is all part of who I am. And my circle around me is all people that are part of racing, and it's like you guys too. It's just like what we do. It's part of your life.
It is, man. It is definitely part of. I was in your shop the other day, and that is quite impressive. Looking down down at it from your office down and onto the to all the race cars, it's very cool, man. So
Yeah, I just really, really try to stay humble. I think that's really important. I see some guys that don't do that. A lot of younger people, and if anybody young's watching this, like the biggest thing I can tell you, man, stay humble, be thankful, realize that it could all be gone tomorrow, literally. So every day I race, I'm thankful. Thankful to have friends like you guys. Brian's a really big sponsor of mine. Our family business is a big sponsor. Neil helps me out on my apparel stuff, everything. Like it all goes hand in hand. You have to have a big family that helps you to make it all work. So not to sound corny, but that's like really important when it comes to this racing stuff. So
that's probably the most important.
it is.
Yeah, knowing Kyle for a while and been very fortunate to be able to get to do the things that I've done, apparel wise and being close to him. I'm a big fan of what he does and going back the steps in the beginning when Kyle raced quarter midgets, and I know most of us that raced have been in that situation where we started. And I think Kyle had a great family that allowed him that opportunity. And I think Kyle was not necessarily a before his time, but he basically was one of the drivers at that age that really started changing the age curve for drivers coming into the sport. I mean, looking at his age and like what he said, being at IRP and being 16 years old and having to be signed over by your parents to drive. But you look at the experience that he had before that happening, he was there. He was ready for it. And we have so many drivers nowadays. 16, 17 is the age. I mean, they're there. I mean, you look in open wheel cars where there's midgets, and I looked at points just a few minutes ago. The midget series that's going out west for 7 races, and you're looking at the talent that's over there, what's going on. But Kyle is very, very fascinating in different types of genres of cars, like we've talked about, the modifieds, the Silver Crowns. It's impressive to get to know him as a person and one of the most humble drivers out there. dealing with a lot of the drivers and teams and stuff like that. You really get to know them inside out. And I can't say enough about him and the opportunities. I mean, when he has success, it's really enjoyable to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What
do.
Kyle? What's your so out of all the stuff that you've driven, right? I think I know this answer. What is your favorite race car?
It's got to be Dirt Silver Crown. It's just so badass.
Yeah.
It's 160 miles an hour flying down that straightaway with the big grandstands and hustling in that turn. And now, like, the confidence levels there. Like, this year, we were qualifying at Springfield, and I was standing down there going into one. I watched Cockrum. I watched C because I went out last. I drew last bill. And I'm like, all right, I got to see how far these dudes are driving in because that's what it's going to take.
Well, if you're Kaylee Bryson, you're driving in until the right rear hits the fence. But
yeah, Kaylee Bryson really impressed me that race. She did a great job. And I knew her. I know Aaron Pierce and her crew chief or her crew guy Chewy, who's might be helping me next year. I hope. I've been begging him. Yeah, but he was telling me that basically that whole race she was down cylinder because we pulled up on a front stretch. Not to get away from your question.
No, man, go ahead.
We pulled up on the front stretch for an open red, and I pulled up next to her, and I was like, "Oh, dude, she's got oil like leaking out of her front belly pan, like it's all in the track." So I told my spotter, I was like, "Bryce ain't gonna last. Like her car gonna blow up." Not discrediting her, but her car. She made the whole damn race.
That's crazy, man.
And she was on the fence for 98 of those laps.
It was unbelievable. So
yeah,
we're gonna talk about Bryson and on another episode, but I wanted to see. So you like I said, you're the youngest driver in history to ever win at DeCoin. You just won again this year in a modified.
Yeah.
You've run Silver Crown at both of the miles. What's the comparison to? I'm sure there's not, but there's still got to be some kind of comparison to I've run a modified it on the miles.
Yep.
I've never run a Silver Crown car there. What's it like? What's the difference between the two? Obviously the speed and the way the car handles, but are you bringing anything back and forth from each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the modified deal actually feels faster than the Crown car. Just because the sole fact of you have more advanced suspension now. So our modified stuff is just as maybe close to as advanced as a late model. Not so much, but it is. They coincide.
Yeah.
The Crown car, you just don't have the aero that a modified or a late model does. I ran a late model at Springfield one time. I'll go back to that. But like the modified, you just have so much more downforce. So your corner speed is crazy. Like when I qualified the mod, I think I was a half second quicker than the field. Like Schrader was second, and the track was really rough. I don't know if it was a half second, but we were pretty quick.
Yeah.
And Shane Meal sent me a text, and he's like, dude, that was a fast-ass effing lap in a modified. If Shane Meal texts you that, that's like, because Shane's kind of a wild cat.
Yeah, he is.
So I was like, oh, we did something right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the modified is just, they go together, but they don't. Like a Silver Crown car is driven off the right rear. Until the track takes rubber, then you start driving on the right front. Or if you got weight jackers, you can start jacking weight. But a modified is solely driven on the right front. Like when you go in the corner, you drive that thing way. Like you'll see the photographer here going into one, and you just wave at him as you're going by at 130, whop, down in the corner. Yeah. In a Silver Crown car, you're basically turned past the flag stand, and you're already on the right rear, and you're cycling the car, getting in the corner. So similar but different.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the cornering speed in the two cars. I now that you say it, it makes sense. I mean, you're definitely going through the corner faster in a modified.
Yeah.
The straightaway speed is I don't know, 20 some miles an hour faster in a Silver Crown, maybe.
Yeah. I think Silver Crown's 160 on a good day.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think a modified is about 135 or 140.
Right. But like you said, you scrub it all that speed, and the moment you back in, you back into the corner. So that's a really good analogy that I didn't think about. So
yeah, yeah. If you look back on history, I'm kind of a history buff, but Paul White won the USAC Silver Crown Championship, and he came from Texas, and he was a modified racer. So it's not unreal for a modified guy to be good in a Silver Crown.
Right. No, I could see that.
Yeah,
definitely see that.
Yeah, I got it. So your background and the majority of what you do has obviously been on dirt. You may have touched on it a minute ago. How much asphalt experience have you had? Or what asphalt experience would you like to have in the future if the opportunity was to come?
That's another great question because I love asphalt racing. Obviously from racing with you guys in the IROC series.
More than dirt.
I do like asphalt a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We say this all the time. Me and Cal's had this conversation.
I love it, and it goes back to when I raced road racing karts. Me and my dad, we raced at a place called Woodman Park. Neil probably remembers that place. It's down
Been
here
there,
in St.
race
Louis.
there.
Yeah, it was down in St. Louis. It's not there anymore. But then I raced there several seasons, and then kind of honed our skills. And then we raced a few other places too. But the road racing stuff taught me a lot about asphalt racing. And then I raced a few years on asphalt in late models. I ran a guy's modified for a season down at Lebanon. So I've got a couple of years asphalt, not as much as dirt, but I'm confident that like this year in Silver Crown, I believe that I could be a top 10 guy pretty quick. Now getting up there
On the
about
asphalt.
Yeah.
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 Dude, I'm excited for that. I'm very excited to watch you run this Crown car on some asphalt.
I am too. I just feel like I'm given a second chance. I hate to say it when I was younger. Not that I didn't appreciate what I had. I just don't think I knew what I had.
Right.
And I was
You hit it.
I just wasn't fully focused like I should have been. So now I feel like, man, this is your second chance. Like, yeah, I'm 38 years old. I'm old, but dude, I'm still more fit than most 21-year-olds are. Like when I go to the CrossFit gym, I can still hang with all of them.
Right.
So I'm like, we can do this a
Right.
couple more years. So yeah.
I got a couple questions.
All right, shoot.
All your racing, dirt, Silver Crown, everything you've done. Kind of two questions. First of all, who was your biggest rival? Who is the guy that you knew that necessarily when he pulled into the track that you and him had some tussles and go around and knew that it possibly was going to happen again tonight?
Depends on what era, but I think growing up, Justin Allgaier was my biggest, like in my head, was my biggest competition because we both raced quarter midgets together, and he was the kid that had like the Kenny Schrader backing. His dad owned Hoosier, and Justin and I have always been friends, and I respect him a ton. But I always wanted to beat Justin, and because Justin's good, Justin won the Pepsi Nationals. I wanted to win the Pepsi Nationals. Justin won a couple races in the late model, and I'd won in modifieds, and I was like, I need to win in the late model. So I always felt like I was kind of chasing Justin a little bit. And then we had a couple tussles at Peevely, just some scuffles afterwards. Nothing bad, just some hard racing.
Now, did you actually race late models in the same era with him?
Yeah.
Dirt late model? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you guys did.
Yeah, we did, and that was like, that was always, I think he got to me sometimes. I was just like, man, we got to beat him. And Mike and Justin. Mike's really good to me. Hoosier Tire Midwest, of course. Terry, all those guys, they help me out too through the year. But yeah, and I still talk to Justin, every once in a while, Snapchat or whatever, like, hey, what's up? Good run or whatever. Or he'll shoot me a text like, what's up? Or I'll be mountain biking. He likes mountain biking. We'll talk about mountain bike. But yeah, that was probably one of my bigger rivals. And then kind of crazy, but Kevin Gundaker was like, he was my idol as a kid. And then
that was my next question. Who was the driver you looked up to?
Kevin Gundaker, and also like on a professional ranking was Tony Stewart. But KG taught me a lot. He taught me how to bend sheet metal. He taught me how to sweep a shop floor. He taught me how to lash valve or check the valve lash. He taught me everything. And because our shop was together, him and my dad were friends growing up. So I got to have my car in his shop. So for like 8 summers, we raced against each other. And as he was getting out, I was getting going. And then he kind of crew chief for me for a while, and then he got back into it. And man, we had a couple times where I got in his quarter panel and might have drove over his nose, and like he let me know. He ran in my left rear and flattened my tire one time. He's like, "You're gonna learn."
So this was actually KG.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like I actually got to race against Ed Dixon. Like some people may not know who these people are out of our area, but I got to race against Ed Dixon, Kevin Gundaker, Billy Moyer would be there, or the original Don O'Neill. Like, I was like only 16, but
See, that's what you were talking about a second ago, Neil. That's what makes Kyle unique because he had such a I wouldn't say glorious is the right word, but
he had such an early start on it,
Right,
and
right.
fortunately with the family and the situation that he had, he got to go and race against some of these guys that. I mean, when you start dropping Ed Dixon and Kenny Schrader, Billy Moyer, Justin Allgaier, these are some badass drivers.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And,
I
and and Kyle, I don't think always gets the credit that he deserves.
I agree.
But
with that.
I think the fact of it is he has performed very well.
Yep.
And if you're a car owner out there looking for a driver, this is a guy to stick in there and put him in your car and give him a chance to do something.
Absolutely, guy'd wheel the shit out of a Craftsman truck, wouldn't you?
Oh, I totally would. And, Performance Plus Global and Spartan Transportation, you never know. So, like, you never know. So, I honestly feel like, man, everyone's so age driven. Like, oh, he's too old. And, like, I don't believe that. Like, my mom and I were talking, and my mom's, like, my biggest fan. And she's like, you gotten better with age. And I'm like, exactly. You just drive a lot smarter and make a lot smarter decisions when you get a little older, and you
Well, it's a respect thing. You know what I mean? It's not
yeah.
like respect for people. It's you respect the cars. You understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to tell you exactly what he's saying is what happens in sprint cars and Silver Crown cars. Look at these guys. I mean,
Yep.
some of these guys that are still racing, Brian Tyler,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane Cockrum. I mean,
Mhm.
sprint car drivers. I mean, Donnie Schatz, these guys, Brad Sweet, these guys have age on them, guys,
Yeah.
and they get better. I mean,
That's how it used to be, though. I mean, look at it. Look at how well. How do you not talk about this and talk about Sammy Swindell? It was just until a year or two ago that he, wasn't as good as he been. But I mean, Kinzer, all them guys raced up into their to their hell, I don't know, 50s, 40, upper 40s, 50s.
Well, look at I love Kenny Wallace. Look at him. I mean,
Right.
that guy, I have a lot of respect for Kenny. Like, yeah, he gets loud on the TV and stuff, but man, we love him. The guy's been my best friend on the road this year, Summer Nationals. The guy's on the road with 2 crew guys and goes and races 60 to 70 nights a year.
Yeah. Schrader too, man.
Yeah, Kenny Schrader is a legend.
Crazy.
And he's still winning races.
Yep.
He won a race the other night with him
seen
and
that.
Joey Walsh. I'm like,
yeah,
how can you not respect that? It's hard. It's sometimes hard to see like a 16-year-old kid. He just gets out and he's like, yeah, I won, whatever. And you're like,
That's the respect thing I'm talking about. You know what I mean? He doesn't respect maybe, and I'm not saying you did or did not, but I'm just saying there's a different level of respect for the sport, for the race cars.
Yeah.
From being a 16 or 17-year-old to what you. Okay, let me ask you this: which DeCoin mile was more important to you?
The last one was very emotional because I never thought I was going to get to do it again.
Right.
There was a point in my life that I thought I'll never get to do this again. Like my dad and I, we'd go every couple of years and go watch, and we'd look at each other and say, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this again. When our business gets going well, we're going to do it again. All of a sudden things got going, and I just put my nose to the grindstone, and I was like, I'm going to work on my race cars and make them the best I can. And when, once again, Kenny Schrader walks up and says, you did a great job. Or after Springfield sends you a text and says, good run. I'm like, you're doing something if a guy like that texts you. Like, that's
Absolutely
pretty cool, So it just takes a lot of work. I think anybody can do it as long as you work really, really hard. Man, I had nights in the shop when I was there. I'd put my kids to bed and make sure things were kosher at home. And then I would go to the shop till 4 a.m. and I'd get up and go to work at 7:30.
Where the races are won. Everybody says it, but it's facts. So
it is. It truly is. It's crazy.
Yeah, you talk about, the 16-year-old versus, being older, more mature. I think a lot of it, too, is you probably start realizing how freaking hard this is, how hard it is to come by these wins. So when it does happen, you respect that a hell of a lot more, whereas that 16-year-old kid, when you're that young, I mean, we've seen it, all the way through the ranks. I know we've talked about some different things with Ty Gibbs even this year, but he's a young kid winning these big races and probably doesn't even realize it's larger than life right now for him. And probably ties in a little bit there as well.
Definitely does. It's watching these young guys come up in the Xfinity series and watching Justin Allgaier race against them and stuff. And Justin knows like his time's shortening and these guys are coming in. So as an older guy, you kind of think about that stuff. So like, no, but that DeCoin win was really special. I got back out of the car because we struggled in the Silver Crown car that day. We had a fuel pump issue. And I said, I'm winning this race.
You were on a mission. You could tell it.
I was like, I don't care who's here. Like Brian Shaw, Ruhlman, those guys were there, but I don't care who's here. Schrader was there. I'm winning this race, and it was at the time that Nick Hoffman got in that accident, and Nick and I aren't best of friends, but we're good friends. And I feel like he helps me out a lot on my program. And I was like, I'm winning this race for Nick today. And for my dad, me and my dad, like we're going to do this. And we did it. And it was great.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's real cool.
Hey, let's go back just a step right before this race. You come off probably one of the hardest summer tours in dirt racing, the Hell Tour.
Yeah.
And it kind of explained a little bit of that and kind of explained how your Hell Tour went. I know the 800-pound gorilla in here, of course, is who we just brought up in this deal. Yeah. And you've raced against him and went head-to-head all summer. So kind of just give me a little bit of a brief recap of that.
Yeah, that's great because I really feel like that kind of defined us this year. I think it kind of took us up to the next level. And obviously the Hell Tour is named the Hell Tour for a good reason. It's one of the hardest tours on the planet. And it's essentially, I believe it's like 25 straight races or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you go from all the way up in northern Illinois and Kankakee, and it goes back down into southern Illinois, parts of Missouri, then kind of ventures its way back up into Michigan. So I think we stayed on the tour for 14 straight races. And I think the toughest part for me was just I've never done that. I didn't have a notebook on half the tracks. So like we started out at Kankakee, and I think we had a top 5 there or something like that. And we just the hardest thing is like keeping your crew in line. Like I had a younger kid named Austin, and he's a wild man, but he helped me all year. He's a great kid, and I love him to death. I call him my third kid. He's like my third kid. And my other friend Pondrio, he's been dirt racing for a long time with other guys. But I said, hey, you want to go on this tour? And he said, yeah, how long are we going to be gone? I said, well, we're going to be gone for either 1 day or like 20 days. I don't know. And he goes, well, I guess I better pack a bag. I said, yeah. So sure enough, we were on the road for 14 days, and we had a bunch of second places to Nick. I qualified fast time like 5 or 6 times, man. We were good qualifying. We just couldn't make the deal work. I think we came closest at Red Hill, which that was super neat. That track had been closed for 20 years or something like that. They reopened it. Man, the whole town came in. I mean, it was like 7,000 people in the stands, which is a lot for a dirt race.
Yeah.
We're sitting there watching, going around, and me and Nick are on the front row, for the heat race. We take the green, and he's smart. Like, he can drag air off the side of your car. It's a half mile. So he's like dragging air off the side of my car. We're going into one, and I'm getting all like this going in. Here goes Nick. We get back to his bumper, and we start the feature, and him and I got out front, and the track had a lot of character. And I just remember, like, we came close to beating him that night. And after the race, he came over and he's like, I was watching your stick guy. He goes, he was calling you a pussy. And I said, no, he wasn't. I said, he's telling me to dime in the corner. So we were always joking around. Yeah, because like he'll like drive by and he'll be like, give me one of these, And I'm like, whatever. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but he's like just smart enough to kind of, I really don't like harping on myself, but like other guys, like he's just smart enough to watch what's going on. He watches your stick guy or whatever. But yeah, it sucks to run second to Nick, but also it's cool because Nick drove for Scott Bloomquist. I mean, come on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Agreed.
Nobody drives for Scott Bloomquist. My eyes, Scott Bloomquist and Billy Moyer are the 2 best dirt late model drivers, maybe Purvis as well, to ever exist.
I completely agree.
So to have that option and to run close to that guy is pretty spectacular. So I've got some more stuff up my sleeve for next year. Like I said, we just got to get to this winter time here. But man, I'm like super focused and just going to keep digging. That's all we can do.
Racing against Hoffman, if you would put him in a situation that you put him up against those names that you just mentioned, Bloomquist and Moyer and them guys,
Yeah.
is Nick Hoffman the driver or Nick Hoffman the package, the guy that can set the car out, drive it, do all of it?
He's the package.
He's the
100%.
package. Yeah, I agree with you.
Him and I have chatted about that, and he's like, we've talked about it. He's like, we're racers. Certain guys don't know how to race.
Right.
You got to know how to race, whether you're in lap traffic and know how to navigate through cars quickly without losing 2 or 3 tenths a lap. Nick knows how to do that. I feel like I'm pretty good at that. I feel like Tyler Nicely's good at that. Guys like that. And Nick knows how to set his car up. Nick does his own tires. Nick builds his own cars. Like he's good.
There's a difference between a driver and a racer.
Yeah.
So.
And I've had the luxury of going to Nick's shop 2 times. And the first time I spent a week there, it was me, Nick, Kyle Hammer, and a few of my crew guys. And I got to see how Nick operates. Nick's a racer.
Yeah.
All he cares about, well, I should say all he cares about, but what he really cares about is racing.
Racing.
When we're in a shop, one TV's on with the race, phone's on with the midget race, late model race, and when we're done, we're gonna go eat some food. And he's got his racing on his phone.
Talking about racing at dinner.
Yeah.
You
So
you said midget, man. Tell us what you got going on this winter.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna do the dome, and then after that, I got a Chili Bowl ride with Mount Stout, so that's pretty cool. The guy that called me, I forget what his name was. I think it's that. I should know this. Rockwell Security. They reached out to me on Facebook or whatever and said, hey, do you want to drive the Chili Bowl or whatever? And I said, well, that always includes details, I'm sure. But yeah, so we're going to do that, and that'll be cool. I'm excited.
Way cool.
Yeah, that'll be neat. I'm really focused on the dome right now, though. I've had a couple top 5s there, and an elite car's never won. I don't think Nick's going to race this year, so I thought it'd be cool if we could get an elite car in victory lane there. I'm already we've been working on it for the last few weeks, so I got some stuff up my sleeve for that race. Yeah.
We need a Kyle Steffens win at the Dome, right, Neil?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Man, I think it'd be big just because it's our hometown.
Yeah.
I think people would really like that. I think it'd be, god dang, I'd celebrate hardcore, boy. We'd go full Warlock on them. So
I'm telling you, we sell some T-shirts too.
We would. Yeah, we would. R&R would be successful, and so would I.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, and speaking of that, I know Kyle hasn't let it out yet, but got some cool looking new T-shirts and apparel coming out here very soon.
Yep, can't wait for that.
I got something that came across your social media that was pretty badass in my opinion, and people, kids can maybe find and relate to. Tell us a little bit about your video game appearance. That was pretty sweet. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was like unbelievable. Like there's all these things
ahead of time.
I knew basically 2 weeks ahead.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I had to sign an iRacing contract. So to be in the game, you have to sign like a contract and release your car and stuff. So I knew it was coming, but I was like, I didn't really believe it. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But then when I woke up in the morning and this dude sent me a screenshot and it was my car on the game, and I was like, what? Like, holy crap. So I took a screenshot, put it on my page. It got like over 2,000 likes. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. But the coolest part to me is I bought my kids a PlayStation because they race on my simulator, but my one little guy's 6 and it's still kind of hard. My 3-year-old, he can't reach the pedals. But I bought a PS5 that day, brought it home, sat on the couch. I turned it on. I said, see if you can find Dad on there. He started flicking through. He's like, Dad, that's you on the screen. And that moment, I'm like, that's the coolest part of it.
That is cool, man.
Because I go, did you tell your friends at school your dad's on PlayStation? He goes, yeah, they said they didn't believe it. I said, they probably don't. Yeah. But I grew up racing the Formula One games.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
like the first Formula One PlayStation game, and I remember being a kid thinking, I never thought I'd be on a PlayStation, but I thought, how cool would that be?
That's very
so
cool.
Now I am. Pretty cool.
Just so everybody knows, that's the World of Outlaws game.
Yeah, that's the World Outlaws dirt track games, what it's called. Yeah, I had a lot of people ask me that. What game is it? What game is it? So I should have put a link in the thing because I probably answered 100 of those. But I was so excited I didn't care. I was like, oh yeah, So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
it's amazing. Like that's timeless. You know what I'm saying? Like that's never gonna go away. And my kids can tell their kids like, Grandpa, I'm not that a grandpa, but the day that I am, Grandpa's on a video game. So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
cool.
That is very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we covered about everything. Does anybody else have any questions?
Man, just
No,
looking forward to an appearance in season 6 of our IROC Challenge series.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a go. I just gotta see what the dates are and all
Yeah,
that.
man.
Hey,
Open qualifying. Make it when you can. We'd
Just
love
make
to
it when you can. That's it. That's it. So,
No, I'm interested. So that'd be great. Definitely.
well, you always have an open seat. Anything IROC, and hell, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even know Chris Wally.
That's true.
That's how all that went down. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I real quick, just gotta say thanks to you and all you guys. Like I said, I try to stay humble. I'm very thankful. I won't say what Brian did for us this year, but he did a lot for us. And I really appreciate it because I couldn't have done the Summer Nationals Tour without Spartan. So I appreciate that. And, my family business were the 2 biggest proponents to us getting up and down the road.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. So
very grateful.
I'm excited to be a part. Just to be a part of your team. And I wanted to tell you this. Everybody, on IROC, everybody that's you see on that screen, we all root for you every single week, no matter
Yeah.
what you're driving. We're going to root for you at the Dome. We're going to root for you at the Chili Bowl. Yeah, we'll probably even root for you in our little online truck series. So
That sounds good.
you got a fan club right here, always.
Much appreciated. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for joining, buddy. We appreciate you being on here. It was really good. We'll have you back, and hell, we'll talk. Next time we'll talk about your Dome win. How about that?
I hope that, or maybe a USAC top 3 championship run. That's my goal for next year is USAC Silver Crown top 3, top 5 championship run. That's what I want to do.
that'd be killer.
I'm ready to hear.
That would be massive. So that's the goal.
All right. Well, with
We
that,
definitely appreciate it.
all right. Well, with that, let's take a moment and hear from our presenting sponsor, Spartan Transportation.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Thank you, Spartan Transportation. We really appreciate your continued support with us. So I think we're going to go ahead and lead into flag stand news. Neil, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, guys, since we really didn't have much of a show last week recapping some of the championships and wrapping up the season, I'm just going to go over a brief kind of just a recap of who wrapped up championships and with what's still going on out there. But definitely on the NASCAR side, NASCAR Crown 3 champions, Joey Logano in the Cup Series, Ty Gibbs Xfinity Series, and Zane Smith in the Camping World Truck Series. All 3 races, good races. Can't really say too much about anything here, but the guys that did win did kind of dominate the races. So congratulations to all the NASCAR champions. Last week at the World Finals in Charlotte, the World of Outlaws wrapped up their season. Brad Sweet wrapped up his 4th World of Outlaws Sprint Car Championship. Dennis Erb Jr., 2022 World of Outlaw Late Model Champion. So congrats to them guys wrapping up the season down there in Charlotte. Brandon Shepard tops off and wins the Castro Flow Night in America Championship after Sonoya last week down there at the Pollard's Sonoya Raceway there. Them guys battled the weather all weekend, the cold, the wet, everything. Brandon Shepard ended up winning. the championship. Very dominant performance by Ricky Thornton Jr. to cash in. I think he collected a cool 68 grand for the win over the weekend. So congrats to Ricky too there. So bouncing to the other late model series, Lucas Oil, two-time champion Tim McCready secures the 2022 championship. Congrats to McCready. Justin Grant ends up wrapping up the 2022 USAC Sprint Car Championship out in Paris with a heated battle with Brady Bacon. I know it went down to the wire there pretty close. I know Bacon put on a hell of a performance out there. Ended up getting his first Oval National win, Oval Nats championship actually, with 2 wins out there. So good run for Brady there, just coming up a little bit short, but Grant getting his first USAC Sprint Car Championship. So congrats, Justin. You still remaining here in the USAC. The midgets head out west for 7 races out there. West Coast Swing, Bakersfield, Ventura. Buddy Kofoid leads close to a 200-point lead over Justin Grant going into that. So as those races wrap up here towards the end of the month, going into Thanksgiving, we'll be crowning a new USAC Sprint Car or USAC Midget Champion. So that's kind of a brief overview of the championships and what's going on there, guys.
All right, great deal. Thank you, Neil, for covering that. Let's take a moment and we're going to hear from our other sponsor, R&R Racewear. R&R Racewear, your source to all custom racewear apparel needs and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at rnrracewear.com. R&R, thank you so much for being a partner with us. We really appreciate you and all that you do for us. So while we're got the mic hot for Neil over here, Neil, why don't you go ahead and lead us into not flag stand news, I'm sorry, green flag, black flag. Everybody got your flags ready?
Oh, hang on.
So, come on, I moved and I have mine ready.
Got him.
All right, well, while we're waiting on Brian here, get some good questions for us, Neil.
That old guy's gonna pull something fine on those things.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
All right, guys, I got 3 questions. Green flag if you agree, black flag if you don't, and you can add your comments on that too. Going to rotate back and forth here. I'm going to start out with, let's start out with Brian Rick up there. Question number 1 for 2003, the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series. Does Brian Carter and management over there allow their platinum member sprint car drivers to race other series such as All-Star, High Limit, and if Flow Racing does a series?
Do they let them?
Yes. Do they let them? Green flag, you agree. Black flag says no.
Business wise, I'm going to give it a black flag. I don't think they let them. But then I think that we're going to see some controversy behind that. So there's a lot of money up for grabs between those series. So that'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yes, it will. I'm going to rotate around here, and we still might just add a little bit on the backside of this. How about Chris Wally?
Yeah, I'm with Brian there. I'm gonna go black flag on what they are gonna attempt to let them do. I think you're seeing the same thing in other ways in other sports, like the PGA not letting those guys go into other leagues. It's unfortunate, my opinion. If you're going to keep these guys from going and earning more money, then pick your purse up a little bit higher so it keeps them right there, not wanting to leave.
And Piddy, your opinion?
Black flag, because no one puts baby in a corner. You can't just tell me what I can and can't do.
Really? Well, we got Kyle. Kyle, you want to comment or agree or disagree on this?
Yeah, I would hope that they'd let these guys race, but like Brian said, business standpoint, it's going to get to a point they're like, no, we're not going to let our guys go over there,
Right?
Because it's going to take away. So I'm just going to give it a black flag because I don't like it. I want guys to race whatever they can.
Well, and I definitely agree with you guys. I think from a business standpoint, it's going to be a black flag for me too. I figure out, yeah, that's black one there behind the green one there. But I think I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. As a business standpoint, the World of Outlaws, platinum drivers, these guys, it's tough in the spring and this is kind of where I think all this started was with the rainouts and the income, and especially this year was really, really rough. But and they're looking for midweek races and other series is popping up, and you got all the streams that are popping in there, and a lot of this racing is being influenced. If you look at the parties involved, they all have a stream service involved with them, whether it's XR with dirt late models, Flow Racing with both, World of Outlaws with Dirt Vision. Uh, I mean, All Stars Flow Racing. So, I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, it's business wise. I can't take my good drivers over here that are coming every weekend that fans are paying for to watch, popping up and showing up somewhere else out there. I think honestly, this could be very, very tough for the sport. Could actually dilute the sport. I mean, you kind of see it with World of Outlaws or with late models right now. You have a lot of guys jumping all over the places. Um, it doesn't carry as much clout for the World of Outlaw late model series as one time that it possibly did.
Right.
I think that Brian Carter definitely has to protect the series and do what he's doing. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I know there's a lot of moving pieces and parts and don't want to get too far over the point right now. But I would say Black Flag, Brian Carter's got to protect the World of Outlaws, and those drivers might need to look at those platinum memberships and all their souvenir sales they sell at the track that really aren't monitored too much.
Yep. Agreed.
Moving on to question number 2, good old Chili Bowl. And coming up pretty big here every year. Have a great field of drivers, a great group of talented drivers. But does Chili Bowl lose some of the draw or excitement this year due to the fact that Kyle Larson has already been advertised racing late models out west during the same time that the Chili Bowl is going on? Green flag, you agree that the Chili Bowl loses some of the draw. Black flag doesn't hurt it. I'm going to start this time. I'm going to start with Pindy.
All right, I'm going Black Flag. Chili Bowl was around way before Larson was ever around. Chili Bowl's been big before Larson was ever around. Chili Bowl isn't going to hurt. Yeah, it might hurt a little bit, but it's not going to hurt it enough to where the crowd size is down, or even the viewership on streams is down from it. So yeah, Black Flag, they'll do just fine. Larson doesn't run the show.
Very interesting. Chris Wally.
Yeah, I'm going Black Flag as well. Just the prestige of that race in itself is going to carry that. And then we know even through this show that we've got an entry that's going to be there that we're all going to want to watch. And that man right there, Kyle Steffens. So, you know what? Kyle Larson, see you later. Kyle Steffens. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
There you go. Brian Rick.
I'm definitely Black Flag. I have a couple things on this though. So I want to go back to the Chili Bowl where the
fueler.
Yes, the fueler. I want to see. I don't want to go to the. Listen, I like Kyle Larson. I like Christopher Bell. I like all of those guys. I don't want to go to the Chili Bowl, watch a week's worth of racing, and pretty much know that I'm going to see Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell.
Yep.
Running 1 and 2, or the Swindells back in the day. But I want to go see a Kyle Steffens in the A main battling it with.
That'd be awesome.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see that type of racing.
Yeah.
Like the year Tim McCready won.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Exactly. On the flip side of that, I think that Emmett Hahn, if you're listening, you make your money on the shootout. I think you need to pay these drivers at the Chili Bowl. But I want to see my hometown boy take the money. You know what I mean? I don't want to see the Kyle Larsons and all them take the money. So I'm kind of back and forth on this, but I'm Black Flag on your question.
Well, I'm going to side with all three of you guys and go Black Flag too. Totally agree with you guys 100% on this deal. I don't give a shit if it's AJ Foyt coming out of the retirement to run the Chili Bowl. When a driver starts to think that he's bigger than certain events, there's a problem.
Right.
And unfortunately, as big a fan as I am of Kyle, and I think the utmost of his driving ability, sometimes his social and parts that he goes after, and sometimes the things the way he approaches things is wrong. I think this is a situation that could have been addressed between Kyle Larson having the clout that he has and having to sit down with Emmett. This
Right.
could have been a much better situation than what it was.
Yeah.
Him coming out this summer saying what he did. Again, we have race car drivers that drive race cars very good that sometimes not necessarily can say the right things all the time. I think in this case, these guys sell shirts in the pits, sell from the rigs. They weren't getting charged a fee to sit up in the vendor side. Me and Kyle, we've been there. He's watched us do it. It's a lot of work to sit out there for 6 or 7 days and pay the fees you could do in the vendor lot to sell this. These drivers do manage to make a lot of money off of that, not only for the racing part of it, which they're bitching that they don't make enough money, but they go down and clean house on the other side. So again, they don't always see sometimes the fees that it costs to have that expo center rented for that amount of time. The people that is hired to run it, to put on that event, they don't see the bottom line of that. And I'll say for the first 25 years that I'll go into this, that thing didn't make any money, guys.
Yeah.
It was a break even point. It was that. It struggled to make it happen. Fortunately, it did grow and it is turned into what it is. And now we're trying to dip into the pot. I do agree that the purses need to be bigger. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think this was a wrong approach. And I'm like you, Brian and Kyle and everybody. I'd like to go down and hear or see somebody that is a hell of a driver go up and upset the field down there.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Real quick, Neil, before we go on to the next one, real quick, I do want to give an update to our listeners. There is about a 95% chance right now that myself and Mr. Brian Rick will be at the Chili Bowl ourselves for the entire week. So if you want to come visit, say hi, feel free to find us out there. We'll be in the pits, definitely getting some great content for you all. So look for us down there during Chili Bowl week.
We're gonna try to make a deal with Mr. Steffens over here, follow him around. So
Let's do it, man.
Stay tuned on all that for sure.
Okay, that sounds good.
Stock up on your vitamins.
We don't have that. We don't have that camcorder for nothing, right?
All right, guys, moving to question number 3, the third and final question. Hometown Gateway Nationals starting roughly about 3.5 weeks here. Very, very happy and proud of the city of St. Louis to be able to have this event. Don't wish any harm on it at all. Want it to continue to grow, and I think it's a unique event and look forward to it every year. In the late models, West Virginia boy Tyler Carpenter going for the three-peat this year. Green flag, he does it. Black flag, he doesn't. I'm going to go straight to Kyle Steffens on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a black flag. Just for the sole purpose of that boy's a hustler and he plays that card with the babies and all this stuff. It's like, come on, dude. Like, you know, our sport needs to be. We don't need to be cussing in front of children. I'm sorry. I know it's you get heat of the moment, but we don't need to be doing that stuff. Maybe be a little more professional because that's what we want. We want it to be a professional sport. You know, dirt racing is a professional sport.
Hey man, you're not wheeling the modified and hey dudes and stuff.
No, man, because I realize
Come on now.
if my feet catch on fire, I can't walk. You know, look at Jordan Anderson's wreck. I mean, that was scary, man. That can happen.
That is scary, scary stuff there.
And these guys need to realize that. But yeah, no, it's nothing against Tyler. It's just like, gosh, it irks me when he gets up there and starts talking about the keyboard warriors and dropping F-bombs. And there's like 4-year-olds in the stands. Like, come on, man.
Let me ask you before we move on to somebody else on the same question. Who wins the Gateway Nationals in the late models?
I'm going to say this year is going to be, give me 1 second here. I'm going to go with Bishop.
I agree with you. That new team, and they're going to want to send a statement early.
He is, and he's building that team, and it's his own team, and I think he's doing good by that. I think I have utmost respect for Brandon Shepard. I think he's just a badass wheelman. He really is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get Bishop and the Riggs boys on here and talk soon too. So stay tuned for that episode too. So going the next guy to answer this question or put their green flag or black flag out. I'm gonna go Chris Wally.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Black Flag as well. Just for the fact that it's hard as hell to three-peat anything, right? You might back into a winning back-to-back, but especially at a race like that, it's not a big track where you're getting spread out and running away from anybody. And so just knowing the style of racing and just how hard it is to actually go in there and win three in a row, um, are my two reasons of why I'm going Black Flag.
Okay. Brian Rick.
Yeah, no way, no chance. Black Flag, B Shep for the victory.
Pindy.
Going green flag. Don't know who the guy is, but I hope he gets 3.
You're just going to be different.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't have a clue. He's just going with Tyler Carpenter.
That's definitely not a dirt fan, huh?
Not so much not a dirt fan. I've never really had, I guess, anyone to really kind of, show me the ropes of dirt racing. So I've always just been an asphalt guy. But I've been to a handful of dirt races and I do enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. It's just something I've never really been around a whole lot.
Well, and I guarantee Pindy's walking around the house with some Hey Dudes on. I mean, he's got them rocking.
What's that?
Hey Dudes shoes.
Oh, no.
No. No, anyway, thanks for the guys' input on the questions, and I'm going to pass it off next episode.
All right. We're going to take a moment and listen to our presenting sponsor, Supreme 3D Printing. Are you looking for the next sim rig upgrade? Or maybe your man cave needs a little more style? Or is your wife wanting to redecorate your home? Well, we here at Supreme 3D Printing have you covered. We create and print tons of different and useful items that is sure to fit everyone's style and budget. Check us out on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/Supreme 3D Printing. If you don't see what you're needing, then feel free to contact us for your needed item. Thank you to Supreme 3D Printing. We also do have a side note along with Supreme 3D Printing. Right now, we are running a special on our WinSim kits, a complete plug-and-play WinSim kit, 3D printed, with fans, power supply, Arduino boards, everything for $150 plus an additional 10% off right now. So if you're interested in a WinSim kit, plug-and-play, ready to go, be sure to check out Supreme 3D Printing on Etsy and get your hands on one of them nice-looking WinSim kits. Alrighty, and I think with that, just a few little announcements here. So, Chris, jog my memory from right here. The Roval series, not Roval, but the IROC Challenge series is off this coming Thursday or next Thursday, right?
Yeah, this Thursday is the final race for round 1. Next Thursday we will be off for Thanksgiving, I believe.
All right, and then the IROC Roval series this coming Sunday will be at Phoenix, and then we were off for the weekend. I will be hosting a special event, not only just for our IROC members, but also for our community. So if you're a fan and you want to come join in, I know myself and maybe a few of us will be in that race. It's going to be the street stocks at the LA Coliseum. Quick little rundown of how the race is going to go. We're going to do 40 cars qualify. Top 2 advance from qualifying. Heat races will be 15 laps, and the top 4 advance from their heat. Conti races advance everyone. Feature race advances everyone to the feature race. And then the whole entire field is inverted, and it is a 150 lap main event. So if you're interested, be sure to find us in the hosted events on iRacing. You can't miss it. It will be the IROC Fall. I think it's called the IROC Fall Break is what I'm going to call it, I believe. So you'll find us there for sure, and be able to join in and have a little fun on a Saturday night.
Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. I guess we'll go into final thoughts and get ready to close this bad boy out. We'll go ahead and start with Mr. Chris Wally.
Yeah, so final thoughts. Kyle, appreciate you coming on, man. I mentioned at the beginning, it's been awesome to get to know you a little bit through our iRacing deal, and then get to, communicate, chat a little throughout the last couple of years, get to know you even better now. I was sitting there texting Brian right next to you there, through the show, I'm like, man, this is the best freaking episode we've had, and it's because of you. And we appreciate that. Definitely pulling for you with everything you got going, and you definitely have a fan in me.
I appreciate that, man. Definitely. I know we chatted briefly about the Kenny Wallace deal. Maybe we can figure that out too. That'd be cool. So I feel bad when we talked this summer. I was so busy. I'm like, man, I'm so busy, but man, I'd like to help you guys out that way too. So that'd be good.
Definitely.
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks for coming on, and appreciate everything you do with us business wise, personally, and for coming out here and doing this. This has really been fun, and got to ask some questions I've always wanted to ask, and look forward to watching you go out and continue to perform, and hopefully look forward to getting to race with you a little bit more.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah,
Brian.
Just want to tell you, Kyle, I mean, I enjoy watching you race. I was excited to get you on here. I'm proud to call you my friend, and you go bring that checkered flag home at the Dome, brother.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. So I thought it was cool. I got to get Spartan a win this year at the Spartan race.
Oh, absolutely. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we real quick, we won that race. It was the Cup Time STL deal, and we won it. And I got that trophy in my apartment right now, actually.
Yeah.
So
we got to take some pictures with the truck, and I forgot about that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you some of those.
I just thought that was neat. You know,
Absolutely,
it's
man.
always good to help a sponsor out by doing that. So
Definitely.
yeah. And Neil, thank you too, man. I appreciate you and all you guys. Much appreciated. So I'm happy to be
Thank
here.
you.
Yep.
All right, and with my final thought, first I want to say, Kyle, from one Kyle to another Kyle, man, thank you for being on the show. Really enjoyed you. Definitely enjoyed racing with you in season 2, and it's nice to finally actually get to put a face with the name. So, but be sure if you are listening to this that you rate, subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment, like it, share it with your friends, please. We really appreciate it. Help us grow and get out there and create more content for you all. You can find us on a Roku device on the iRock TV app. Brian, actually, you get a second to talk about that real quick?
On the make sure to check out iRock TV on the Roku channel. It's all of our content will be on there starting now. So definitely go download it on your Roku device.
All righty. And then, of course, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all your major podcast platforms, of course, here on YouTube, and then on your Roku device as well. But with that, I think that's going to do it, guys. Everyone, y'all have a good night, and thank you all for listening.
See you guys.
Kyle here to remind you to check us out on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and Twitch.